Hello to the people of Kentucky. I think that everyone probably knows me out there. I'm Rocky Adkins. I'm the senior advisor to Governor Andy Beshear, and I come to you today, being from Eastern Kentucky, living in Eastern Kentucky, to really have a direct conversation about some really devastating things that's happened to many of our communities across Kentucky, from West Kentucky all the way to East Kentucky. Many have suffered through the ice storm of just a few days ago to now the terrible flooding that we've witnessed and watched and been a part of over this past week. I come to you because I've experienced that myself, but I also come to you as someone who has sat with the governor and in the governor's office, trying our best to stay in direct contact with county judges across Kentucky, with mayors, with local emergency management directors, working closely with Michael Dossett, who's the director of emergency management here in Kentucky, making phone calls, as you can see on the screen, some of the devastation. This came to me this morning from Coach Bill Mike Runyon in Paintsville of a very bad slide slip that they had, and being able to talk directly to these individuals that are on the ground throughout their communities is what we have been doing. And now for the last 10 days at least, from the ice storm now to the floods. The governor, along with myself, we believe in personal contact, and that personal contact, reaching out to mayors to be able to talk and to say, what's your problem? What can we do to help you? I just want people across Kentucky, and especially people in Eastern Kentucky, to know you're not forgotten. We're here every step of the way to try to bring relief to this devastation that's happened to you and your communities, to your homes, to your personal property, and to try to do everything we can to help with that recovery as we move forward. We have met, as of yesterday, I was in a meeting with the Mountain Delegation, Eastern Kentucky legislators, representatives and senators, giving them the correct information that they need to have and who they need to communicate with to streamline through your local emergency management director to get the information to us here at the state level emergency management office, to be able to respond to your needs. We've talked directly to county judges, and we've been in close contact as the governor has tried to get a personal view of what has taken place over the last 10 days or so. We flew to Boyd County during the ice storm of 5 or 6 or 8, 10 counties that got hit really hard with the ice storm, and we were feet on the ground. State of emergencies that have been put out to make sure that we will qualify for the federal declaration that we will ask for. So no misunderstanding. I've seen some things on Facebook that say, well, we haven't asked for federal declaration. Well, I can tell you we're going to, but here's the process. We have to gather the documentation, the damage, the amount of damage. And when we get that amount of damage, we send that declaration in to support and back up, to make sure that we are declared to be able to get that federal help through FEMA that we're going to need. This past Sunday night and Sunday afternoon, I was in communication with the governor, and he declared a state of emergency Sunday night. And on Monday morning, National Guard troops had already arrived in many communities across Kentucky, especially Eastern Kentucky. And from there, we started the communication chain of information that was coming to me. And a lot of people across Kentucky have my cell number, and they send me the pictures and the plea for help. And I forwarded those on to the governor, and I forwarded them on to Michael Dossett, our director of emergency management. We will ask for these federal declarations. We're going to ask for 2. One will be for the ice storm that happened 10 days ago, and the other one will be for the flooding that's taken place throughout Kentucky. But here's what's important. For you homeowners and folks that have had personal property damage, document, take pictures, make sure that that's part of what we need as our information that's sent in to Washington, D.C. to ask for that declaration. For those of you that are emergency management directors, you already know this, but county judges, mayors, magistrates, commissioners, road crews, whoever you are, take pictures, document this damage so we can have a full application that will go in for approval to come back and bring relief to our people that are hurting so bad. I just got off the phone with the Clay County judge, and he said, Rocky, we need water, and we put the request in. I assured the judge that tomorrow morning a truck would be arriving with water for folks there in Clay County, and we're getting those types of calls from all over. Tomorrow morning, first of this week, Tuesday, the governor was in West Kentucky to look at some of the flooding that happened there. And tomorrow we will be flying the region of Eastern Kentucky. The governor, myself, and others of his executive staff will be flying the region and looking at the devastation, and we'll be touching down there in Lee County, in Beattyville. And we'll be touching down to meet with all of the county judges and mayors and others who will be there to be able to talk to the emergency management personnel, to be able to talk to the governor face to face, to be able to help us understand even more about what we can do to assist and what we can do to help. So we'll be in Eastern Kentucky tomorrow, and we'll be flying the region. We'll be looking at the devastation all through the different counties. And I'm not going to start mentioning those counties. You know who you are, and we know who you are. But we're going to be on the ground in the morning, and we're going to be meeting face to face, and we're going to have a press briefing and the press to be there to help get this word out. There's so many people across Kentucky that are wanting to help. There's so many people that want to be engaged to help bring relief to people that are suffering, people that have lost their homes, people that have had property damage, people that have had their cars flooded out. The picture that you saw a while ago of what happened in Paintsville this morning at 7:30 when the slip happened there at their city garage. You know, Bill McRunion's a friend of mine. You know, he's the coach, and that's what I know him as, but he has my cell number. And he called and he said, I just want to let you know what's going on here now. Well, that's happening throughout our region, and we've had tremendous damage. But what I would say to you is this: the documentation that we can do to help us with this declaration that we will ask for through the federal government. We have been in personal contact with our federal delegation of U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell, Congressman Hal Rogers, to let them know we're putting together this documentation to back up our application of damage that we've had here in Kentucky. I will tell you that doesn't happen overnight. It is about a 20 to 30 day process to be able to gather all the information of damage and document that in our application to be able to send it in and make sure that we get the declaration that we're looking for so we can bring that money back through FEMA to help with the repair of roads and culverts and bridges and personal property and all of those things that we're going to fight hard for. We're all in this together. I've been in the governor's office with Governor Beshear for the last several days as we've tried our best to stay in direct communication with those who are in leadership in your communities. Information I'm getting through your legislative delegation of help that's needed out there that we can help streamline and hopefully get that help back into the communities. Folks, my heart hurts to see our people suffer. And I know the governor's heart hurts to see our people suffer. But I can assure you that you've not been forgotten. We're working hard every day that we have our eyes open, trying to make sure we're concentrating on the needs of the people of Kentucky, especially those who are suffering so much right now. We're going to work hard. We're going to make it right. We're going to do everything that we can. If you see information on social media, help us correct it. We can't file for a federal declaration tomorrow. We've got to get the information first. But I assure you, through our communication with your emergency management director, with your mayors and your county judges and the leaders of your community, we're going to fight hard for this declaration when we have the documentation to send in to back up our application for relief. I want you folks to know that we're here for you. We're here for you to do everything we can to help your communities, to help you in your individual homes and your family, to get you the water, the food, the supplies that you may need. We're going to do everything we can to bring that relief that is needed, that you deserve, and we're going to do everything we can to work hard to make it happen. So please reach out through your local emergency management person. We will be in Beattyville tomorrow at 11:15 for a press event. Before that, we will be flying the region to really see the damage firsthand. I saw it when I left Monday morning to come to Frankfort. I saw it myself. So this is not something that I'm dreaming about. We're living it. This is about my home. I'm talking about the region that I live in. This is about our people. This is about Kentuckians. We got a company called App Harvest and Jonathan Webb getting ready this weekend to organize a telethon to raise money, and it'll be through Channel 27 TV. And they'll have this telethon Monday night, and we'll see, people that'll be on helping raise money for the region to help bring relief through private donations and people that want to be involved. Folks, I know it's tough out there. I want to let you know we feel the pain and the suffering that our people are going through. I'm not here today to put on a show. I'm here today to tell you we're here to help. We're going to do everything we can to bring that relief. Stay in touch with us. Let's get through this thing. Folks, we've been knocked down many times. And we've got up and dusted ourselves off, and we've headed forward. We're going to help you do that. Please stay in touch with us. Get us the information we need. We're going to keep folks out there close in our thoughts and prayers. We're here for you. We're going to work hard to make sure that we make this right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Rocky. And we spent so much of this last year working to protect each other and asking people to be healthy at home. And now a whole lot of our families don't have a home, whether that's because of the ice or snowstorms, which may have damaged their homes or taken their electricity for weeks in some places, or this flash flooding event, which has taken so many homes. We are going to fight for a federal declaration that includes individual assistance that can hopefully, provided that the president and FEMA and others agree, directly help many people out there. To talk a little bit more about that, about what the weather has been, and also can outline the number of National Guard and counties that they're in. Here's Michael Dossett, who is our Director of Emergency Management.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you to Rocky for the critical part that he has played in the communication with our leadership and with all of our counties. If Rocky and I are on the phone once a day, we're on the phone 10 times a day and in between texts. So thank you so much. Just a quick update. This one is not over, folks. This is one of the most prolific flash flooding and flooding events we have been in many, many, many years. We have 64 declarations to date, including counties and cities. We have 61 National Guard troops on the ground out in 8 counties doing what they've been doing all week, and they'll be doing it through the weekend and possibly into next week. We also have Kentucky Transportation folks out in our counties with heavy equipment, trying to assist where needed to clear these roads and to make areas safe for our citizens. I'm just going to highlight some of the very, very impacted counties that we're working today, currently. Breathitt has a water system out. We're pushing bottled water out. Clay County has water outages. Martin County has water outages and storm clearing issues. Powell County, again, water outages. Owsley still cleaning roads to get access to flooded areas. Lee County, road clearing and getting mutual aid from Wolf, Bell, and Harlan. That's the Kentucky way. Johnson County, As Rocky indicated, Paintsville, the car garage was the victim of a massive mudslide, destroying the garage and most of the equipment in it. Lawrence County, dealing with road clearing issues, and Pike County, numerous mudslides. So those are just some of the ongoing issues. This is still an active event. And thank you to all of our first responders and everybody involved in Team Kentucky for the exceptional response. Two things of good news. FEMA will be on the ground Monday, March the 8th. We are bringing their assessment team in first to finalize the ice storm damage to our utilities and our RECC groups. And second, but most importantly, to look at home damage, to look at what we need to document individual assistance for the governor's application to go up to the president. That's probably the most important mission we'll do all month, is getting out into these counties and documenting the issues and the damage and the hardship from the loss of dwellings or those that are impacted in any ways. So with that, I'd like to bring up one slide, talk just a little bit about the weather. We still have cresting issues. Camp Nelson, it has crested, but they're still in a major flood condition. And certainly Frankfort, those of you who watched the marina float down the river and under the bridges brought with it a flooding condition for Frankfort. Other than that, we're receding, but we're still looking toward the weekend to get out of the woods. Last but certainly not least, we have some positive news here for all of our folks across Kentucky that have been impacted. We are partnering with a group called Crisis Cleanup. These folks are out of Texas, where they've recently been hit with the largest power outage probably in their history. They've partnered with Kentucky VOAD, our volunteer organizations active in disasters. We have an excellent group in Kentucky. They always come to our aid. Well, Texas has a telephone bank and the technology to partner with Kentucky for a hotline. So if you're watching the monitor, the line is active now. It's 800-451-1954. And if you call that, the call center is active. They will route your call to a VOAD organization that can help you in whatever way, whether it is the need for food, the need for temporary shelter, the need for clean out crews because of the intense flooding in eastern Kentucky. But this is a real positive. It's a partnership between two states and their VOAD groups. So with that, we leave you with some positive news. Back to you, Governor.
And different parts of Kentucky, we have been hit hard, and the whole state has been hit hard this last year. We are tough. We're going to make it, and we're going to do it together. All of us together, doing everything we can to help people make up for the damage that's been done. But knowing that structures are less important than people, we are glad everybody out there is safe. And from here, it's about digging out and rebuilding. All right, I want to talk for a minute about pandemic EBT. When schools moved to digital learning due to COVID-19, we knew we'd have to step up in new ways to provide for Kentucky's children with the kind of services they might normally receive from teachers, counselors, and cafeteria workers. One of our top priorities was to ensure that all Kentucky children, particularly those on free and reduced lunch, had access to food during the day. Today, I'm proud to share some good news about that effort. The Pandemic Electronic Benefit Transfers, known as PEBT funds, are now available for families throughout the rest of the 2020-2021 school year. Here are some important things to know about that extension. First, PEBT is approved for both public and private school students who receive free or reduced price meals through the National School Lunch Program and who are unable to attend school in person due to COVID-19 school closures since October. Eligible students and families don't have to do anything. Approval is automatic. There's no application process. Second, PEBT for this period will be added to the existing cards that those families already have. If you no longer have your card and your address is not changed, call 1-888-979-9949 to request a replacement card. If your address has changed, got to call a different number, 1-855-306-8959. Third point, the amount of assistance will vary depending on your school district's learning model. If your school district's exclusively operated a virtual-only learning model for all students in a given month, an eligible student will receive the equivalent of 20 days benefit. That equals $136.40. If your school operated on a combination of in-person and virtual, called hybrid, you will receive the equivalent of 12 days benefits, $81.84. Individuals should expect to receive the first issuance of PEBT the week of March the 15th. With this third round of PEBT funds, we estimate we have a total monthly issuance of about $74 million for a total program issuance over the 8-month academic year of $590 million to keep our students, our children, fed. I'd like to thank the Cabinet for Health and Family Services for their tireless work and stepping up and making sure that our children don't go hungry during this pandemic. All right, let's move to today's COVID report. Today, we're reporting 1,068 new cases of COVID-19. That is down from last week. It's up a little bit from the week before. Best news of the day is the positivity rate has dropped to 4.45%, the lowest since October 12th. Hospitalizations are down. ICUs are down. We have 12 more Kentuckians, though, on a ventilator due to COVID. So please be thinking and praying for them and their families. We also have 28 deaths that we're reporting today, one of our larger days in the last week or so. They include an 88-year-old woman from Boyle, a 66-year-old man from Carlisle, an 87-year-old woman from Davis, a 96-year-old woman from Fayette, a 59-year-old man from Floyd, an 83-year-old woman from Franklin County, 71-year-old woman from Fulton, 2 women from Graves County, ages 84 and 85, 2 women from Hardin County, ages 80 and 76. We lost a 76-year-old woman from Harlan, 72-year-old woman from Henderson, 2 Jefferson County women, ages 85 and 91, and men ages 63 and 94. 61-year-old man from Kenton County, 83-year-old man from LaRue, 80-year-old man from McCracken, 96-year-old woman from Madison, 78-year-old woman from Marshall, a 60-year-old man from Meade, 2 women from Nelson County, ages 74 and 78, a 75-year-old man from Perry County, a 56-year-old man from Pulaski, 72-year-old woman from Taylor County, and an 83-year-old woman from Warren. Today, of the 28, 11, we believe we're in long-term care. So again, those deaths as a percentage are significantly decreasing since vaccination. Doesn't mean that we're not still losing people. We are, and it's hard. And we will continue to lose people until we're fully out of the woods and everybody is vaccinated. That's the reason we're not going to do what Texas or Mississippi has done. Those decisions will increase casualties when we just have maybe even a matter of months to go. Let's close this out strong. Let's protect one another as we get there. Long-term care, 12 new residents testing positive, 8 new staff, 1 new death attributable to long-term care, at least 2 new facilities that have had a case. Let's look at vaccines, always something we're excited to look at. Table 1, the overall performance. We have now given at least the first shot of hope to 760,585 Kentuckians. Remember, through February, we have vaccinated 700,000 Kentuckians. So already, just 4 days into March, and this is actually as of the end of yesterday, 3 days into March, 60,585 more Kentuckians, on our way to doubling the number of Kentuckians vaccinated just this month. We can look at Table 2. Remember, we get this supply on Tuesday, around Tuesday, and it's really Tuesday, Wednesday reflected here in the March 2nd numbers. That means in 2 days, Kentucky vaccinated 45,911 people. Our pace continues to pick up. Now, I know that there was an issue today at 2 regional sites. I believe the Horse Park and in Bowling Green, where our partner Kroger's server went down. Server went down for about 90 minutes. That's a huge problem because you have to enter people's information. They've got to end up on the vaccine registry. We've got to go through that process. So that has created some lines in those locations. While it is an inconvenience, we are going to make sure that everybody signed up for today in those locations gets vaccinated. May take a little more time. Listen, nobody intended for that server to go down, but we're going to make sure that everybody gets that shot of hope. So I know people are busy and live busy lives. It's really important to get that shot. Please be patient. We're going to get through it. It was an unanticipated issue, but everybody there is going to get that shot of hope. All right, let's do an update on new vaccine sites. We now have 567 vaccination locations across Kentucky. Last week, that number was 410. So this week, we're adding 157 new vaccine locations. Regional sites will now be up to 58. That includes one new regional site. That is Baptist Health LaGrange. On Kroger, these are the brick and mortars. We have 10 new sites for a total of 40. The new ones are in Davis, Fayette, Jefferson, McCreary, Bell, Fayette, Madison, Mercer, another in Fayette, and Campbell. We're adding 10 new Walmart sites to get up to 45. New ones are in Ohio County, Jefferson, Pike, Franklin, Hardin, Marshall, Boone, Kenton, Jefferson, and Wayne. Federally qualified health centers. We have 12 centers with multiple locations, including now in Muhlenberg, Logan, and Todd County. We have 61 local health departments. Through the federal pharmacy program, those are Walgreens and the Good Neighbor Independent Local Pharmacies, 215 sites. And now we also have new independent pharmacies all across Kentucky that are going to help us to specifically get out the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So do we have new maps today? Let's look at the new maps. Let's look at the whole progression. All right, so this is several weeks ago. You can just keep it going. This means that vaccine locations are getting closer and closer and closer to you. So again, this is the infrastructure we have to build, because the president told us earlier this week that every adult who wants a shot can get their first shot of hope by the end of May. That means that we're going to vaccinate, provided we can get everybody interested, another 2.5 million people or so in the next 3 months. And if we do 700,000 this month, we'll only have to pick up our pace just a little bit more in the coming months. And this is going to help us do it. Now, our independent pharmacies, which stepped up for Johnson & Johnson, we're really excited about that program. Bear with them. They're going to get the first shipment, which is great. And then Johnson & Johnson is going to have a week where we don't get any product. And then they're going to significantly ramp up. So what you'll see is an initial outlay from some of those pharmacies, a period of time where they might not have any or as much, and then a whole lot more and a whole lot more and a whole lot more. The independent pharmacies will be a big part of our real ramping up and reaching hard to reach populations as well. All right, we'll now do a UI update with Amy Cubbage.
Thank you, Governor. First, I want to announce some good news, I hope, for UI claimants. Due to some additional federal funding we've been able to procure, we will be opening a new call center in April, hopefully by the middle of April, but definitely by the end of April, we will have our new call center stood up. We are currently hiring for that call center, and as soon as those people are trained and we have everything in place, that will significantly increase our call capacity. This is just one of the ways we're trying to give you a better experience. Soon, our new user interface that we have been working on will be rolled out, and this will hopefully get us through to the point to where we can do the rebuild of the entire system that we're working through the bids on. So we hope that that's good news for people, and we will be seeing the benefit of that federal funding very shortly. Our numbers are also looking good. We're down to about 5% of the claims from 2020 that are still pending. But this leads us into the weekly fraud discussion. Of course, we all know fraud has been rampant in the program. Just so you have some idea of the scope of what we're talking about. Of the 60,000 or so pending claims from January and February, only about 18,000 of those have valid IDs that we have been able to determine. So that's about 72% of the pending claims we believe have possible fraud issues, and over 50% of the claims filed in January and February we believe are possibly fraudulent. Again, as we've discussed before, this is happening nationwide. It is not unique to Kentucky, but we are all, I wouldn't say struggling. I think Kentucky is doing a very good job of handling it, but it is taxing the system, and it does mean that our people have to spend their time segregating out those claims so we can focus on the valid ones. But we want to give you some more tools to make sure that your data is kept secure. We can go ahead and put up the first slide. One way that you can easily help keep your data secure is to make sure that the PIN number you're using, the 4-digit PIN, is a good, strong PIN. If you have not changed your PIN in a while, we would suggest that you go in and change that. It should be something that is not easy to guess. We can go on to the next slide. Please avoid simple numbers that are not, please avoid anything that's simple or anything that is tied to you, such as your birth date or your spouse's birthday, some segment of your social security number or your address. Or your phone number. Any of these things could allow a hacker to get into the program, as well as simple number sequences like using 1234 or 0000 or repeating numbers. Pick something that you, of course, can remember, but that is not a number that's easy for someone to guess. Now, we are also happy to announce that in addition to our current fraud prevention product, our ID validation software through LexisNexis, we are also rolling out a program called ID.me. ID.me is a federally certified identity verification provider. It specializes in digital identity protection. Over 36 million people use this to manage their digital identity, and it partners with many federal agencies. They offer a video chat option for people who need additional assistance. Almost 70% of the country's population is using ID.me now to verify unemployment benefits. So what happens if you need to upload identity documents? You're going to be directed to a website where you can create an ID.me account and verify your identity. If you are having trouble getting your ID validated and getting your ID documents uploaded, that video chat feature will be there now. If you don't receive a link to ID.me, then you don't need to do anything. It means you went through the first step of the validation through our other program, OK. But we should be launching this sometime next week. So if you are having ID validation problems, hopefully this will help you navigate through the process, as it also helps us screen out additional fraudulent claims. And as we discussed last week, the slide's already up. We've updated our fraud form so that if you believe that a claim has been filed in your name fraudulently, or if you're an employer who has received notice of a claim, you can use this form now instead of using the email. You can see there on the screen, this is about halfway down on the kcc.ky.gov homepage, and it's the middle orange button there. or you can go to the very bottom of the page. I believe this is on the next slide, and it's down there kind of in the menu. You can also click on report fraud there. This form will let us get all the information necessary to review the claim and stop any benefits that may have gone out. We still believe the vast majority of these claims are being caught by our ID validation software. A few sneak through, but we can use this to make sure everything is caught, and that we will flag that in our system. After they have reviewed the information, we will communicate with you and tell you that we have processed the form. Now, if you sent the email to the former email box that we had, you don't have to fill out this form again. We've obviously, with the volume of fraudulent claims we've received, we have received a lot of these reports. So we are working through them as quickly as we can. We will respond and get back to you. We have updated the fraud tips page on the KCC website, and there are recommendations there for you if you believe your identity has been stolen. We want to alert you to one more thing, and this is the next slide. This is a scam we have seen in other states, and unfortunately now we're seeing it here. This is where hopefully your social media savvy out there will help you. We now have a report of a fake Kentucky Career Center Facebook account. This is one, and there are a few telltale signs here. First, it is listed as a personal blog. Of course, the Kentucky Career Center social media accounts will be verified, and they will not be marked as a personal blog. You can see from the screenshot here too, person is reaching out and soliciting someone to send them their social security number and birth date information over social media. The Kentucky Career Center will never solicit you over social media. We will not ask for this type of personally identifiable information over social media, and we will never ask for a fee to work your claim. Some of these scammers out there will reach out pretending to be from the Career Center, from the Office of Unemployment, and they will ask for a fee. That is absolutely illegal, and if someone asks you for a fee, no, that is not allowed, number one, and that is not coming from the Career Center. So please make sure it's a verified Career Center account, and definitely don't send any kinds of this information to someone that has contacted you through social media. One last quick note, unless Congress acts this week, we know Senate is hearing the unemployment extension right now, but if that's not passed, next week in Kentucky will be the last week of the $300 supplement. If that is re-upped, we of course will keep paying that, and it should stay interrupted. So we will wait to see what Congress does. And if that is passed, we will keep those benefits flowing to you. That's all we have this week.
All right. Thank you to Amy. We will now open it up to questions. We'll start with Sarah Ladd from the Courier-Journal.
Yes, thank you. So can you give an update on the status of those 36,500 Johnson & Johnson doses of vaccine? Did they all reach their destinations in Kentucky? And then also, do you plan on signing House Bill 208? Thank you.
Sarah, I signed House Bill 208 right before I came to give this briefing. Without it, our schools would have lost the dollars that they absolutely must have to provide for the education of our children. The Johnson & Johnson vaccines, we have not received any report of them not arriving. Today is Thursday. They should have gotten to each one of those locations, but we will check on that to give you full confirmation. But typically I hear about it if they don't reach any one location. And I think that they are not only there, I think that they are already getting in people's arms. Now, I know we've said this a number of times, 36,500 doses of Johnson & Johnson this week, 0 next week, and then the production will pick up from there. With the agreement between Johnson & Johnson and Merck, it's going to happen a lot faster. The 100 million doses that have been promised to the United States are going to happen by the end of May. And our timetable's picked up just about every time we've heard from the federal government. So we hope that can move even faster. Stu Johnson from WEKU.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. Regarding the flooding and the request for federal assistance, after the documentation is done and is sent off to FEMA, a twofold question, how far will the assistance go to help individual homeowners? And is there any concern that with the money that's been coming from Washington for coronavirus, that could affect what might be available for flood relief?
I do not think that the amount coming from the federal government for coronavirus relief will impact flood relief at all. What will be available depends on if the president includes individual assistance in a presidential declaration. We are already pushing hard. We have called our contacts in this administration. We have asked the federal delegation via letter, which is what they requested, to push for it as well. And I know Michael Dossett is working to encourage people to send in the documentation that's needed. Do we still have Michael? All right, let's go over to him to fill in everything else.
Thank you, Governor. The process for a federal declaration runs about 30 days. The first 15 days are the state's assessment and our county's assessments. We combine those. We invite the FEMA team in, and we agree on the assessment, in this case, for individual assistance. We submit the application, the governor signs it, and it goes up to FEMA Region 4, and then it makes its way to the president. Round trip, it's 30 days until they receive the application. Then it's their timeline. Typically, it takes as much as 30 days before they make a decision. We're certainly appreciative of all of the liaison leadership across the state and the federal government that are supporting this, including the governor's letter.
Pull me in with. Can we bring Michael back up? Michael, can you explain a little bit about different considerations that the president or that administration may look at for individual assistance, and then how it's administered, how people would ultimately get it?
Certainly. Individual assistance under the FEMA program, it tops out at $35,500. They do not write that amount to a homeowner. It is based on the impact, obviously, to the home, what was damaged. That includes a slightly different scale for mobile homes and then for conventional homes, but that's the total amount. Typically, once that claim is filed, we move that through the FEMA system. It goes up to FEMA Region 4 again, up through the process. Once a federal declaration is granted, then our recovery branch then receives the specific amounts that would be granted to each homeowner, and that's paid by a reimbursement process to FEMA.
So can you also go over what each? Can you go over what each homeowner that has had their home impacted ought to be doing right now?
Yes, sir. And this is extremely important. As Rocky first indicated, and we stressed this at the caucus yesterday and every time we're able to speak, the documentation that's so important are photos. It's easy to see a water line, and it doesn't matter whether you're in a brick and mortar home or any other type of facility, but photos are so critical. Photos of things that are destroyed, photos of appliances, photos of your furnishings, photos of HVAC. Everything that you can see that is damaged by water needs to be photographed and then archived for, actually, FEMA will come online and we'll, normally we walk door to door. In this case, it's going to be a while because we're still waiting for water to come down. But the most important part of the process is the documentation before FEMA arrives.
All right. Next is Tom Latek from Kentucky Today. Unless I asked all your questions, Tom.
Almost, but not quite. I've had people asking me then a question that I can't answer, so I figure I'd throw it to you and Director Dossett. I've seen this, and the people tell me that they've seen it, and I'm sure you've seen it as well. Right before you get a landfalling hurricane, there's a federal disaster declaration already in place. So what's the difference between that done even before an event happens as having to wait a month or more for situations like what we're going through?
Let's go to Director Dossett.
Certainly a very good question. Those type declarations done in front of a major event are called verbal declarations. They basically request, the governor requests of the president an advance declaration, knowing that the damage is going to be so severe that the process is started beforehand. If you'll also notice, they move assets, they pre-stage assets in or near the state that's going to be impacted. In flooding events take, and this is unfortunate because of the suffering of our citizens in our counties, in the homes that are impacted. A flooding event takes on a whole different nature. It's slow moving in terms of when it leaves, and advanced declarations are not granted in any instance that I've seen.
Melissa Patrick from Kentucky Health News.
Hi, Governor. So in your discussions with the legislators, do you see any reasonable prospect of completely short-circuiting the lawsuit around the 3 bills that Judge Shepard just blocked? Or do you feel confident enough in your position to simply allow things to proceed?
Well, I feel confident in our position. I do believe that a governor under the Constitution has and must have emergency powers to battle a pandemic like this. There's only one commander in chief, and ultimately this has to be an executive-driven response. That doesn't mean that we're not willing to talk to legislative leaders. We are, and I hope that we can have those conversations moving into the future. And my confidence in our position isn't going to prevent that from happening. And there have been good discussions, primarily on other topics over the last several weeks. We've had a number of areas where we've been able to work together. You've seen some bipartisan bills pass, and I had a hand in some of those. And we've seen much better communication on a number of different areas that give me hope for better relationships moving forward. Now, I think we ought to also just acknowledge this has been an incredibly stressful time where we've had to take steps very quickly. Obviously, everybody's anxiety is up, and including mine. I'm not the only person in Frankfurt that's had kids learning virtually at different points. And then everybody's life has been turned a little upside down. So hopefully the quality of our discussions can continue, and we can build some better relationships coming out of a pandemic. Obviously, that's a two-sided deal, but we see better reach out all the way around right now. John Boyle from WFPL.
Hi, Governor. I know we only have a little bit of the data from what's happened so far this week, but just from those early looks, if you guys have gotten a little more narrow with the demographics that are being vaccinated so far, what are you guys seeing with the 1C groups? Have you seen people jumping at the opportunity to get it, or have you been seeing any sort of hesitancy?
We have not reached hesitancy yet, and I don't think we will this month. I think we are still at that place where I think the vast majority of people want to get the vaccine and aren't hesitant for it. Now, with the pace that we're now going to see over the next 3 months, we're going to get to a point where we're going to have to really focus on hesitancy, which we have been, but we're going to very quickly get to a point where we have people rushing to get it, to where we're going to have to provide even more education that's out there. If you look at the concept that we could potentially provide, 2.5 million vaccines over the next 3 months, then we're a month and a half, 2 months from hitting that, 30% of the population. If you look at different polling that we're going to have to communicate with and continue to reassure. Now, I don't believe that the hesitancy is necessarily foundational, meaning I don't think that I think that it's soft hesitancy in that people are still wanting to watch and see what happens. I was actually hearing from some of our state agencies today about their response rate and what the reasons were, what people were saying. So I still have a lot of optimism that as more and more people get vaccinated, those hesitant will get in line to get it. And I also believe if and when the CDC comes out with new guidance for those that have been vaccinated, where you can do a little bit more, especially with other people that are vaccinated, it creates a really positive incentive. I was told the other day that Pfizer, by the end of the month, is going to submit their data on trials for kids 12 and up. And so we're also awaiting that and other information for those who currently aren't qualified to get the vaccine. But no, right now we still see appointments gobbled up as quickly as they come out. That's going to change really soon. If you've had a tough time getting an appointment, you're going to get one over the next 3 months, and it's going to open up real quickly. John Charlton from WHAS.
Hi, Governor. Thanks for taking my questions. As you probably think or know, it's about unemployment. We're still receiving people reaching out to us complaining about the lack of communication. And in fact, I've been emailing the Labor Cabinet for the last couple of weeks for information with nothing happening, no responses, basically radio silence. And then on Tuesday, it looked like you read from a statement before the answering the question about phone appointments. Could you explain that?
Can I explain the statement? Well,
Was that a statement?
Well, when we get a question in that we know is about how many phone appointments here or there, I got to call the cabinet to know exactly how many appointments that we have and how people sign up for it. And I've got about 20-something thousand employees in a lot of different areas. And while I'm involved in wanting to see unemployment work better, I still need a lot of the technical data from them. So yes, I'll get answers that are sent to me from those that are working on it every single day. That's pretty normal. On the communication issue, let's go over to Amy Cubbage and let's get some firsthand knowledge as well.
Okay, unfortunately, I'm not quite sure what communications you're talking about or that you've been having. As far as telephone, just know that we get anywhere from 80 to 120,000 phone calls a day, often because people are using auto dialers. So that is one reason why the phone lines are often jammed up for claimants who are attempting to call in by phone. It's one reason why we set up the telephone appointment system. We know that those appointments are not enough and that they get snapped up very quickly. Those are highly successful though. Right now we're having a rate of about 95% each week of people being able to, or us being able to reach claimants at those scheduled times. And they do, as I think I've said before, get 3 chances before they move on to the next appointment. So we obviously will check with the Labor Cabinet, see what's going on with the press requests you have been getting. But as far as the phone issues, as far as claimants, we're hopeful that this new call center that we're going to be standing up over the next 6 weeks will be a big help to try to relieve some of that stress on the system.
Well, and to recap at least one announcement that Amy made today, we are standing up a new call center that we are hiring people for right now. We are hiring people directly into UI to further assist us on all the different functions, from pushing out the fraud claims to processing the valid claims. We have new website functionality, which should be helping our users that are out there. We're working on opening career centers with both the hiring and working through the COVID protocols to do it. We're getting better at separating the fraud claims, which right now are coming in at such a huge rate that if we can't push them out, it takes longer to get to the valid claims. And we're going to continue to work and work and work. We're in the final stages of the RFP on a new system. That, of course, is the most necessary thing, but it's going to take a significant amount of time to get it in place. Of course, in doing all this, we need the legislature to approve the new larger budget for UI that would include the career centers that were closed under the last administration, that would include the extra employees that were cut under the last administration. And of course, they've already provided some that get us all the way through the upgrade or the replacement of the IT system. Now, I think that the legislature is going to do that. I don't have concerns that they don't want this fixed. I want this fixed. There's been a lot of finger pointing. It's not going to help anybody get their benefits. Listen, we've processed more claims over the past 12 months than ever in our history. And in a year, we've gotten more people qualified by percentage than ever before. We've paid out so many dollars to help so many families that we've had to take some big loans from the federal government, but we still have families in need even after getting through so many. And we are not going to be satisfied, and we're not going to stop until we're able to help everybody. Remember, not everybody qualifies. And this is a system that was set up to be mean and to be difficult and to try to get people to quit. And as we come out of this, I really hope that it's not just getting our UI office back to where it was 4 or 5 years ago before cuts, but that it's also about fixing the laws to where this is something that helps people, not as designed to just discourage people. We will continue to do that work. We'll be back Monday at 4. It's looking like this week is pretty similar to last week in terms of COVID numbers. We do want you to continue to follow the best practices. Please continue to wear a mask. What some other states are doing is reckless. We've seen them do it before. They paid the price. Let's close strong. If in 3 months, everybody who wants to be vaccinated, every adult can get vaccinated, that bright light is getting closer and closer and closer. Let's not leave that person walking next to us behind. Let's not lose our parents or our grandparents now. Let's do this right, and let's protect each other until we get there. Thanks, and we'll see you Monday.